This week, I kept my spending under control and I also figured out how I'm going to deal with last week's overspends. I've almost got May back on track and I'm excited to tell you about it. Are you ready? Let's go! Welcome back to Ready Budget Go. My name is Drew, and on this channel we talk about cash budgeting, saving money, and achieving our financial goals. If that sounds like something you're interested in, please consider subscribing, hit the like button, and leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. This is my weekly budget update video, and normally I try to get this posted on Friday morning, but I didn't make it this week. Work was super busy, and when I got home on Thursday, I could barely keep my eyes open. So it's a little later than I planned, but I did pull all the numbers last night and was kind of looking through them, and I figured out how I'm going to sort of offset some of the higher spends from last week. If you've been watching my channel for at least the last couple of weeks, you'll know that I experienced what I'll just call a life event, and am sort of dealing with that throughout the month. I am making an unexpected trip this next week for a memorial, and so there's costs associated with that that I didn't plan. There's several ways that I could have dealt with that, but I think the way that I have chosen to do it is what is ultimately in the best interest of my finances. So let's get started with the weekly budget update, and I'll just give you one other little piece of information that I'm having an Etsy launch on the 28th, and if you stay through to the end of the video, I'll give you a little preview of what's coming up on that Etsy launch. Okay, so let's flip over to the budget, and I'll talk about everything that came in and went out. So, I didn't get out a pen. Okay, let me do that here real quick. All right, so get a board, put it behind. So paycheck one came in, that was on Thursday, and it was the usual amount. This is a rounded amount. I will talk about the actual amount when I get to the cash flow. Paycheck two and the cell phone reimbursement will be later this month. In terms of bills, my YouTube premium did come out, and that was as expected. I'm rounding it up to 16. It was a little bit less than that. It's actually $13.99, I think, but the sales tax here is crazy. So about 16 bucks. And then I got my power bill. That isn't actually due until the 21st, and it is on auto pay. But as it turns out, the $60 that I had budgeted wasn't too far off the mark. So um, that I think it's like 56, but I'll record that probably next week after it's posted to the card that I use for paying my utility bills. Haven't paid Orca yet. I'll do that next week. So the only thing I have to record in the bills section for this week was the YouTube premium. Wallet will come back to after we talk about the expenses, and this number is going to change. Stockpiles are on hold. I will see how much is left over at the end of the month, but I'm keeping this money available just in case I need it to put toward other expenses that come up. Savings and extra debt last week or this week rather, for Roth IRA, we saved $302. I have Monday night is game night, and then Wednesday I use three savings challenge books to determine how much I'm going to save toward my Roth IRA this week or each week. And I try to hit I always hit at least $300, but it does fluctuate sometimes just based on the games that I play, because I don't really use IOUs. I'll just take the few extra dollars out. So 302 this week. And so that's it for the overview. So let's go to the cash flow tracker, and I'll fill in everything that came in and went out of the checking account this week. So this is more like a check register, and this is just where I record all of the activity that goes into and out of my account so that I don't lose track of anything, and so that if there's anything unexpected, I catch it before it gets out of hand. There's just been too much fraud going on. I've seen on the news people's checking accounts getting emptied, and I don't want that to happen to me. So I try to keep on top of it at least once a week. Okay, so in terms of income, that's just paycheck one. And the actual amount was $3,071.63. I'm on salary, so this is usually pretty consistent. It fluctuates by a penny sometimes, but otherwise it's usually the same amount. And then in terms of outflows, I had 2 Roth IRA contributions. So brokerage, Roth IRA. First one was $323, and this is just based on when it posted. Second one was 302. And again, because I had a life event, I didn't get that 323 in as soon as I should have, but I did get caught up eventually. And then I also went to the ATM and I withdrew $120 from my weekly cash. I have no idea why I took out 120. Well, I think my intent was that I had 30, and by the time I went to the ATM, it was already midway through the week because I try to give myself $100, have $100 at the start of each week. But it was already midway through the week, so I just decided to make it 50. Anyway, things got kind of fuddled, and I usually do a cash dump at the start of the video, and I forgot to do that, so I will come back and do that toward the end. But I'm going to be putting in some 5s toward the Letterbox challenge this week, where normally it's just 1s. I'm kind of declaring a cash bankruptcy and starting over, and hopefully get that back on track as well. Okay, so then everything else is credit card payments, and there's a lot of them. So I'm going to go through this as fast as I can. So there was one for $130, one for $11.75, one for $18.41, one for $104.44, and then one for $57.63. Okay, and I will come in and fill in all of those later. But that is all of the transactions for this week for my checking account. So now let's go over to the expenses and I'll tell you what happened here. So last week, as I showed on the budget overview, I spent over $800 because of last minute travel bookings. And also I had an expense to the state of Montana Vital Records for a certificate that I need for my father. And I decided to just wipe those off my credit card statement using rewards. So that took off $447.29. So before I fill in this week's expenses, I'm actually going to go back to the budget and I'm going to take those out of last week's expenses. So there will still be an overage that I will need to figure out a way to make up. But it's not going to be as extreme as this one. It's not going to be a $500 overage. So I'll need to get out the calculator here. And I really wish I hadn't just whited that out because now I don't remember what the number was. So I'm going to go back to the expense tracker and I will add all of this up and I will take out the $447.29. And I'll probably just fast forward it here so that it's not too tedious. All right, so it was $882.28, and then about half of that is coming off, so $447.29. So that leaves me with $434.99. So I'm still over for that week, but not as bad as I was before. So let me just write this in here. $434.99. So I'm over by $134 instead of $580. And that is a much easier amount to absorb. I can absorb that from the stockpile amount, I can absorb that from the remainder, or I can control my expenses better the rest of the month. So I feel much better about that. I don't have that hanging over my head. Usually credit card rewards, saving them up for travel gets you the most bang for your buck. But in this case, it's easier just to use those to wipe off the amounts that I charged for the flight and for the certificate from the state of Montana. So, okay, so let's get back to this week and back to the expenses. Here we go. And I can tell already I'm going to need to print out another one of these sheets because it's going to be a 5-week month. And I've already used about half the sheet just on week 1. So let me put this away over to the side for now. And let's start recording all of the transactions from this last week. So my weeks run from Friday through Thursday. So this is only through the 15th, I think was the Thursday, which was when I did the redemption for last week's. Okay. So on the 9th, McDonald's for coffee, $6.60. And then DoorDash, also on the 9th. Again, if you saw last week, a lot of DoorDash, a lot of restaurants, just because with everything going on, I really don't have all that much time to cook. So this was $28.06. On the 10th, McDonald's, coffee, $6.60. Let's see. On the 11th, USPS. This was for a birthday gift for a friend of mine, shipping it to him, $16.65. Also on the 11th, Lyft, transportation, $6.09. It was actually $10 more, but I get a $10 monthly credit. On the 12th, Safeway, groceries. Well, I should have put that under food, but that's okay. $104. This pen just does not want to write. 44 cents. And then on the 12th, teriyaki. This was because I didn't go to the ATM and I forgot to put cash in my wallet. So normally I would pay cash for this, but because I didn't have any with me, I had to get out the credit card. So it goes in here, $16.92. Let's see, on the 14th, teriyaki again. Food, $18.02. And then on the 15th, last night, DoorDash, $19.85. And then weekly cash, which doesn't get a category because it could go toward anything. And that was $50. So adding up this week, we get $273.23. So a much more reasonable number. I'm just going to color code these real quick, just so I know which expenses are with which week. Back to the budget. $273.23. Okay, so that's good. So I came in under what I had budgeted for this week. That helps offset some of this week already. Hopefully I don't go over any of the other weeks of the month, but we'll see. If I do, I've got the stockpile money ready and available. Once again, with everything going on, I don't have quite all the savings documents ready, but I will show you what's going on with my savings, and I'm going to break the video here, so I'll do that in just a sec. Here we are in the savings section of my budget binder, and I'm not going to talk about my emergency fund or the blip fund, but I will talk about the Roth IRA because that is the one that I am working on Monday nights for game night. And so this week, which would have been, let's see, when did I make that transfer? I think I did it on Monday, which would have been the 12th. I put in 308 or 302 rather, and that brought us to, let's see, 4, 9, 2,946. So I can mark off 3 more of the little sloths over here on the left. If you like the looks of this Sloth IRA Savings Challenge, or tracker rather, it's available on my Etsy shop as a digital download. 3. So by the end of this month, I should be about halfway through. 3,500 would be half, which would be about 600 more than where I'm at now. So I'm very much looking forward to that and to getting my Roth IRA fully funded, not just for having the money in my retirement account, but that means I can work on my other big goals. So one of those big goals is saving toward a big move, meaning I want to move to another area, another part of the country, and that will require quite a bit of money. And so once the Roth IRA is funded, that's the next goal. And I have a tracker for that. I've talked about how I'm going to save for that, at least the first thing that I'm going to start. But again, with the disruptions from this month, that's kind of on hold. It's still something that I fully intend to do. I have to get caught up for where I am now. It's a subscriber-based savings, so every person who subscribes, I will save $5. If you haven't subscribed already and you'd like to be part of that, please do. That would be a great help on my savings journey, specifically for this big goal that I am excited to save for and then to do hopefully next year. Okay, so that's it for the binder. So I'm going to put this away, and then I will give you just a little preview of the items that are coming to my Etsy shop toward the end of the month. Okay, so here's your preview for what's coming up in my Etsy shop at the end of the month. These will launch on the 28th of May, and I'm not going to go through in detail everything that is coming, but I'll give you kind of a brief overview of the 3 new products that are launching. The first one, which is the one that most people are most excited about and that I've been talking about kind of the longest, is Dicetropolis 2. So if you've seen my game nights or if you've watched other channels that have been playing Dicetropolis, then you'll probably be familiar with some of those games. And this one is a sequel. I will tell you that there is a hint on these cards as to the type of games that are in it. And I won't tell you what it is, but if you've played a lot of dice games in your budgeting life before, or just in general, you may be able to suss out exactly what Dicetropolis 2 is all about. I will go through all of the different games in detail in a video that will come out either on the launch date or soon after the launch date, probably on the launch date, because I think it'll be part of the full launch video. So at any rate, Dicetropolis 2 is coming. This will be in physical form first. I will have a digital version that will come later. It was initially intended to launch on the same day, but just reformatting from a physical product into a digital, it's not as cut and dried as you might think. So that will be coming at some point in the future, probably in June. It really depends on how much time I have available to really sit down in front of the computer and do it, because it takes about 4 hours of uninterrupted work to reformat something that was done for print into digital. So at any rate, that is what is coming in physical product. There will be dice available for purchase with it, just like in the original Dicetropolis if you need them, but you can also get just these cards by themselves. Just as before, these are glossy coated, so they can be reused again and again and again. They don't have their corners rounded yet, but I do round the corners, and these will fit in a 5 zipper envelope. So that's Dicetropolis 2. The next thing that I will show you is another dice game, but it's not a series of dice games. It's all one game that has multiple cards with it. So I'm only going to show you one of the cards, and I will show you just the back of it. So this is Dice Fecta. And Dice Fecta is a game that you play with multiple dice, but you don't play them all at once, or at least that's not the intent. So I will leave this purposely vague. I will talk about the rules and how it's played when this comes out again on May 28th. So come back for that. And also, this is on glossy stock. It is A5 side, and it will fit in an A5 zippered envelope. Okay, so that's all I'll tell you about Dice Fecta for now. And then the last thing that I want to show you, and I will only show you the back, these are A6 size savings challenges. Now, they're also placeholders, which I do a lot with my savings challenges. They are 80s themed. And so on the back, you have the placeholders, and it'll say it's a totally rad $50 savings placeholder, dudes and dudettes. And there's a few of these. So there's a few $50 ones. There are several $100 ones, a majorly awesome $100 savings placeholder. And then there's one funky fresh $250 savings placeholder and one supremely clutch $500 savings placeholder. Now, on the back of these, they're all different savings challenges. They are scratch-offs. They will be available with or without the scratch-off stickers applied. Each one of these will save you $50. So if you, and there are 10, it's sold as a set. So if you do all of them, then eventually you will save $500. So that's why there's a $500 placeholder. But there's also several smaller placeholders so that along the way, you're able to keep them all together if you so desire. So these are printed on everything that I sell as a physical product is professionally printed. These are matte coated, so they're not glossy, but they're matte coated. They have that kind of ultra smooth texture, so they feel very nice. These are intended to be used as placeholders once you're done with the savings on the front. If you don't like scratching, I will gladly send them to you without the scratch-off stickers on them. I will make that available as an option for a little bit of a discount as well. You can always cross out the amounts or whatever you like. Or even if you just want them as just placeholders, then that's always an option as well. These will also have their corners rounded. I don't have them rounded yet on this particular set, but I'm working on it. Actually, my corner rounder gave up the ghost finally, so I had to get a new one. So I'm a little bit behind, but they will be ready for the launch on May 28th. So look for that video coming out then. And so that those three will be in the May launch. There's also a June launch coming. I'm working on those designs now, but that'll be at the end of June. So I'm trying to get into a cadence of launching toward the end of each month. So these three for May will be the 80s Savings Challenges, Dice Fecta, and Dicetropolis 2. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I apologize that I have been so far behind in everything. I certainly meant for my savings section of my budget binder to look better than it did, but I've got a lot of plates in the air right now. So eventually I'll get there. And I'm excited for this launch coming up. So if you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. I'll save $5 if you do. And leave me a comment down below if you like. And I will be back on Monday for game night, on Wednesday for the Savings Challenge books, and right back here at the end of next week to tell you how everything went with my income and my spending for the third week of May. And until I see you in the next one, take care.